Hello, Jen. Welcome to the best day on lunch and learn ever. I'm your host, Jen Hecht. Just waiting for Malorie Tadimi to join today. Oh, you guys, this is going to be great. She is hilarious. She's unbelievable. I just love her to pieces. But it's going to be a good episode. We're going to talk about tips for women entrepreneurs to grow their audience and what we should be doing to do just that. So I'm going to wait for her to join in. So I'm going to grab it over here. All right, so I just sent her a message. I don't know what is going on with Facebook today. It's just not allowing me to add it. So anyway, so we're going to keep going. But while we're waiting for Malorie to join, I just want to give you a background on her. She's the founder of Tadimi Business, a multi-million-dollar entrepreneuring training company dedicated to serving entrepreneurs that have a gift to share with the world. She provides aspiring and existing entrepreneurs the proven step-by-step systems they need to turn their dream business into a profitability reality. Hey! All right. So let's bring on, there we go. Adding Malorie. Give her 1 second.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Yay! How are you? We had a little bit of technology issue, but we're fixed now. So thank God you are here and live.
Here.
Yay! I'm so excited.
We are here.
For those that do not know Malorie, she is amazing. I love her. She's so smart and hilarious. She's also a sought after speaker, trainer, business coach, and prides herself in the way she has built her business. She has time to be a wife, mom, and international leader by making a big difference, which she is. She travels the world with her family and has created the formula to live in financial, emotional, and spiritual abundance. Hey, Melanie Trainer. Hey, hot mama.
Hey, Melanie.
I love her. Oh my gosh. We're all like in DC still rocking the red. I know. So excited. I mean, it's great. But then one thing that you've guided over, and this is why I think it's so important, talking about tips for women entrepreneurs to grow their audience, is that you have guided over 600,000 entrepreneurs in using their special gifts to make a difference. Like, that's amazing.
That's a movement, right?
That is you, honey. I love it.
Yeah.
So you guys that are listening, if you know women entrepreneurs out there that like to learn more from Malorie on our show today, I mean, we're covering the gamut. We're talking about how to grow your audience, how can we create our audience, which I think that is so key and pivotal in sustaining a successful and profitable business. Also talking about pricing models, which is uber important, right? You need to know how to price your services, but also talking about
make money.
You gotta make money. Gotta make money, honey. Figure out how to do it. So, so let's go down. So let's talk about the first step, right? So, let's talk about what steps can we take to grow our audience. Give us your intel on that.
So, growing an audience is really, it's not all that it's cracked up to be. It's really just like having one big community of happy friends. And they're supportive and you love them and they love you, and it's all about everybody giving and serving and working to make sure that this life and this experience that we have on this planet is the best that we can possibly have. So it's really just about coming together to make sure we can support each other to make sure that happens, right? And each of us has our own special gift. So we're all good at something. Some of us are better at more things than others, but we can use those and we can help each other to balance, right? To create that full circle, to get what we're going after. We can rely on each other. And that's what building your audience is really about.
Right. And I think that's key too, is that, building your tribe of people to help you too. Because it kind of goes back, when you're talking about how to grow your audience, and, people on social media, they're all about, how many likes, how many, friends you have and like that. Well, listen, you could have 5 key influencers that you talk to, right, who have more of a difference in where you're wanting to go versus having thousands of people like yourself, but they don't engage with you. So let's kind of talk about that and how that applies to growing the audience.
Yeah, so there's a lot of vanity metrics out there, right? And you have to make sure not to get caught in that rat race, because there will never be a winning point. It's one thing to have some social proof, but it's another to just make money, right? So I think it's important that were able to make money, because you can be one of these big movie stars or influencers, let's just say, that has like millions of Twitter followers, but are they actually monetizing that? Most of them are not, right?
Wow.
You know, it's just how it goes. You can have a list of 10 and make thousands of dollars worth of sales, or you can have a list of 100,000 and, you know, not make anything. It's got to be about the right people at the right time with the right offer, right? Timing is everything if you have the right offer for them.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. I mean, and knowing what your offer is. So let's talk about that for a second. How do you distinguish what you should be offering?
So I like to explain the offer concept kind of like just this ladder, right? And we'll call it the value ladder. Like, let's get super nerdy here. So let's call it the value ladder. Yeah, why not, right?
I know.
So on your value ladder, you've got to bring people in like where they are, where they currently are. You have to be able to reach them from that point. So, hey everybody, this thing is like exploding over here.
I love it.
So you have to be able to reach people where they are, to talk to them, to say, hey, I see you. I know what you're going through. Here's how I can help, right? So on our value ladder, let's just make it like super simple. Let's say you have an entry point where people are first beginning on their journey. You have a midpoint for the people that have already grown just a little bit in whatever journey they're on, and they're kind of like right here in the middle. And then you have a high point for the people that want more, they've already done some growth, or they want to do all the accelerated growth at one time, right? So we can take people from where they currently are, so whether they're low, middle, or high, and we can plug them into the value ladder. And our bonus is that if we get them while they're at the lower point of the ladder, they can continue their journey with us as the expert. So it makes sense for them to start here and then continue to grow. But you can also verticalize this by bringing in people that are already at the midpoint and at the high point, right? So that's how you serve a broader audience. Remember that saying that everyone says, talk to everybody and you're talking to nobody, right?
Right.
Well, you can still talk to people that are like somewhere on this ladder and then plug them into wherever they need to go.
Right. I think that's a good point too, is knowing your niche market too. Like, who are you? I mean, knowing what target, like get hyper specific on who you're targeting, right? You got to know that going out of the gate, because you could say, okay, like, you know, I coach executive women, right? That are good in business, but like shitty in dating, right? It's like, or, but it's becoming, and so, so if you're going in that way, saying, okay, I'm hyper focused on this, like other things will come, but, and I think it's a very valid thing. And what you brought up about having those kind of tiers when you're helping it, the one thing I think a lot of people mistake thinking that they can do it all by themselves, which couldn't be further from the truth, especially if someone is in the same industry as you, right? Or they've already gone down this road, you know, getting coaches, getting mentors. So talk about that for a second, like how important it is to have coaches and be coachable in life, right?
Let me tell you a little story.
Ooh, I love stories. I love it.
Yes, let's just go there. So when I first decided to start my business back in 2012, I thought I could figure everything out. I could do it all. And I think the truth is, yes, I could do it all. It may take me 100 years to actually figure out what works, but damn right, yes, I can do it all.
Amen. Right.
But here's the thing. If you don't want to take 100 years and waste $100,000 like me trying to figure it all out, then you go for speed. And where does speed come from? Speed comes from working with somebody else who has already achieved what you would like to achieve. Then you can take their shortcuts, incorporate it into what you do, and you're on your way like that year, instead of wasting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. All you guys on here, how many years have you wasted trying to figure things out on your own? For me, it was at least 2, and then it got better. But then I still thought I had to figure things out on my own. So every time I came to the realization, like, hey, maybe I should just get some help with this and call it a day,
Right.
That's when I had those quantum leaps and that exponential growth that everybody talks about.
I think that's true. Bringing back story time, right? I was fortunate that my dad put me in tennis when I was very young, right?
Yeah.
And, got to a point where obviously he couldn't teach me anymore. Like, it's just like for yourself, like, you can only learn so much by scouring the internet and scouring and doing research and stuff like that. But you're right, because what he did was he knew in order to level up my entire game, he had to get coaches that specified in very specific areas: serve, forehand, backhand, volley, right? I mean, and mental coach. I mean, that was probably the best investment that he's ever. They talked about visualization when I was 12. So, seeing the shot before it happens, just like in life, like seeing what your goals are, how you're going to get there, right? Maybe a windy road that you're going to get there, but you'll get there, right? But if he wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't have been, right? If he would not have done that, I would have never achieved what I did, right? Because they were hyper focused in that area. Just like, so say for instance, if you're really good at storytelling or, camera, shortcut, great word. Yeah, Lisa, she knows, shortcut. But,
we all need a shortcut.
Right. Sure. Yeah, exactly. But, I think that, in order to level up on your strengths and then, there's so many consultants out there, other people that you can reach out to, say like, okay, I want to have a copywriter because I need to get this out. I know for me, it would take me forever because I was, like squirrel, like I get distracted. Right. So for me, it was imperative that I say, okay, I know I need to get this done. Like, that's why it's so important. Like, I have business coach, and she's amazing, but her background, guess what it was in before she went into business? Dating. She was a dating coach, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so that
right.
makes sense that I would hire her as a business coach because that was relative to my business, right? So I think the takeaway is just level up on your strengths, and then where you find your shortfalls may be, you look for experts, and people say, well, how do I do that? Like, I don't even know where to begin. So what would you say, some tips for people, like if they're at that point where they don't know what to do, where should they go to reach out for help?
So look at the experts that you're already following, right? So whose videos are you watching? Videos are huge now. Look, we're on video right here. Whose videos are you watching? I'm sure you've already Googled your way around and searched around for a year or two. You know whose list you're on. You know whose opt-ins you're downloading. You know whose freebies you're stalking down. Start there.
Right.
Do you like what they have to say?
I know, it's crazy because I mean, think about it from, and we'll kind of get into we can go into more social media here because I think it's, on topic about it, but don't reinvent the wheel. Like, look what the experts are doing and do it, right? I mean, if they're doing video on Facebook and Instagram, if you're not listening to their podcasts, if you're not listening to what the experts are doing to grow their business, you think that they're going to do this like for nothing, right? So, it's like, okay, like, it's not that hard. You have a camera, you have a phone, especially the iPhone has 4K movie quality. I mean, I'm sitting here. Yeah. This is my basement. This is my home studio, and I have a tripod and have my phone, and Facebook is free. Right. So, and you can connect easily, and you can interview anyone in the world and reach out to them. So, what are your thoughts on kind of, those people like, well, I'm going to do it different. I'm going to do it, my way. Cause I know, like, and then I'll let you answer that question.
I like to describe business, if you're growing a business or just life in general, really, but just talking on the business topic now, business is a game, and you can play it the easy way or you can play it the hard way, right? You have a choice. But if you want to win the game in this lifetime, sometime while you're alive and young enough to enjoy it, you may want to win a little bit faster.
Right.
So that's the idea of where a shortcut comes in, or like a cheat code, so so to say, right? And a cheat code would be hiring somebody or doing a program or whatever to get you the result faster. You know, if you want a man faster, how can you accelerate that process? If
Get
you
out
want
of
to
your
make
house
6 figures faster, how can we
Right.
get you to 6 figures faster, right? If you want to get to 7 figures, you're ready to scale, you're already at 6, you're stalled out, and you want to get to 7, what can you do to get there faster? You know, the so-called saying of Einstein's definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting the same or expecting a different result, right?
Right.
So if you keep doing the same thing, do the same thing, you do the same thing, and you're sitting there crying your eyes out at night because you're not getting the results that you want, well, what are you doing differently, right? You have to take that leap out there and just go for something a little bit different. Stretch yourself. That's one of the biggest things I tell my clients. Just like stretch yourself. Just go. I know it's uncomfortable. It's never, ever, ever, ever comfortable, right? And you don't feel confident unless you've already seen success in something. That's where comfort and confidence comes from. Competence, right? And competence is you got really good at something or you got successful at it. That's why you're comfortable at it now, right? Just like why you're comfortable on video right now, or I am. Like, how many of these videos have you done? You know, the first time when you press that live button, it's terrorizing, literally, because you have these eyeballs like sitting on your screen just watching you, right? And people are talking, and it opens up to criticism, it opens up to opinions. It's scary, but you know, if you just get out there, it's not as bad as you think it is.
And it's really, I think it's, you know, when I started, we talk about this a lot, you know, when I started the dating advisory board, you know, years ago, and I was watching the influencers and what they were saying, and they were saying, you are now your own production company in order to, and it's free. So you're not having to pay for sponsored, I mean, obviously when you do videos, you should pay for sponsored ads on that to get more views, but that's a whole different discussion, right? And, you know, I didn't know. And I was just like, okay, well, I'm just going to go live and see what happens. Right. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just going to sit there. But the reason I was comfortable in talking, I mean, I went live first, you know, on a show that they're awesome. And I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew, okay, I'm going to go live first to the world, because then when you go in and try to do a tape setting or a regular video, it's not as scary because it can always be edited. So it's like go all in, and then it just becomes easier as you get more comfortable in front of the camera, and you can practice. I did a lot of practice on video prior to actually going live. But I mean, if you're not doing this, I mean, I was just listening to one of Gary Vaynerchuk's, you know, recent podcasts, and he's saying you have to be on video and you have to be on Facebook and Instagram doing ads. I mean, that was like one of the, I was on the treadmill and I was like, okay, I'm going to learn some knowledge as I'm working out, right? So, you know, got to get it in somehow. So.
No, that's a good point, because these algorithms on social media will just ignore you if you're not on video, basically. And it's got to be native video. You can't be recording a video like maybe in a studio or whatever. You can't have this like highly processed video and then load it onto Facebook and expect to get the same amount of views as when you're using Facebook Live. It's ridiculous. Like, your views are like this. But when you just live stream, like in the moment, you get a lot more access and more views. So it really pushes you to just live in the moment and go live. Just go live. I mean, I go live at crazy times all the time. If you guys ever watch my profile, I went live at the New Orleans Gay Pride Parade this week. It was insane. But I was like, you know what? Like, I just want to share this with people. This is so cool. So if you can embrace the spontaneity of it, or like, we're like, yeah, we should do a talk. Like, let's just talk about growing an audience. Let's do it. Yeah. So, I mean, this isn't like all contrived, or, you know what I mean? We didn't plan out some long agenda. This is just talking, and we're sharing our conversations, because I think a lot of people are interested in growing their audience and how they can do it, and then how they can monetize that audience too.
Right. Exactly. I mean, you brought up a really good point, is that, actionable items, right? Like, there's one thing about saying you're going to do something, and then another thing is actually creating it. Like, we made a really good point of being stuck in that kind of comfort zone, right? So you're not pushing outside, like do something. What is that one quote they always say? Like do one thing every day that scares you, that pushes you outside of your comfort zone, right? Write down lists of like who you like. A perfect example, when we went to Camp Maverick, which was awesome, right? They came up with, actionable items to do and connect with people. I'm still going to connect with everyone. but it's the point of like, following up, because there are, I mean, I have it's on my list. I will get it done. But I just love, I mean, having those people and getting ideas. Like I know when we sat down, had our phone conversation, an hour conversation, and it was such amazing information that I would have never have known whether you've told me that. So like, I think that goes back to knowing who the subject matter experts are and how they can actually help you, that it is relevant to your business. Like obviously you're talking about, creating master classes, right? And we're going to get to that in a minute, because that's a really valid point. Is I don't know where to start with that, but now I do, right? And that's coming, right? So I thought that was just, brilliant. So when you talk about that, like, I think, people get frustrated when they see ads, right? On, Facebook, Instagram. Let's talk about that, when to actually do these ads or and how much and how often, or is that should be shipped off to a third party to expert to handle, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Ron.
Well, Facebook ads, my God. Okay, so let's just break it down real fast. You've got all these different platforms, right? We've got like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google, Twitter, all of Snapchat, whatever. All of these different platforms. Hey, Lauren, that we can be on.
Lauren.
So when it comes to paid traffic, what is working well, really, like right now, like in the moment, it's Facebook. And Facebook is so good because it lets you specifically, first of all, there's the whole pixel thing, but specifically, it lets you target exactly who you need to target, right? And it also lets you retarget people. So if they clicked on your stuff and they didn't do what you wanted them to do, hey, well, then you can just hit them back up, right? So Facebook is brilliant for that, but it's overwhelming. Like, it'll make your head spin, and you're probably going to fail at it unless you take like a good year to learn it, because you really only learn it from doing it, right? And watching and seeing the trends. Like, if I do this, this is what typically happens. If I do this, this is what typically happens. So it's a huge learning curve. So instead of starting with paid traffic, what I tell a lot of my clients to do is start with your email list, right? We can go to paid traffic, yes, but are you actually monetizing your email list? Well, what if you don't have an email list, right?
That's my next question. What if you don't have one, right? Yeah. That's a valid point. When you're starting out, what do you do?
We all start at zero. Like, nobody is, it's like when you're born, like we're all born naked, right?
I love it.
It's not like you get these huge experts that are born with email lists, but you literally have person one. Like, it starts with one person, and that person might be, your neighbor. It might be your mom, whoever. Right. It might be your bestie. It doesn't matter. Just start there. And how can we grow it? We can connect with other people that are doing the same thing. So for example, I like to teach a lot about master classes. What you can do is you can create a joint venture, not like an official business, but you can just go and teach on something, right? So you can join up with somebody that has a complementary audience to you, and then say, hey, you email your list about this. I'm going to email my list about this. And what we do is we have one opt-in page that everybody's saying, yes, I would like to sign up for the masterclass. So when they sign that up, you have a list owner, and that list owner shares it. Let's just say it's 2 people. So both people get that list, right? So you get the list that has some of your people on it, and you get the list that has some of the other person's people on it. So you can do a master class with one person. You can do it with 2 people. You can do it with 3 people. You can do it with 4 people. You can do it with 5 people, right? You can end up with a pretty damn long class. Or
Right.
I also like to use Be Live. If you guys have used that, BeLive.tv, BeLive.tv. I use that a lot for interviews, and it has a talk show setting. So
Ooh.
if you want to bring like Facebook, I think it will max you out with like our shared screen right now with 2 people. But on Be Live, you can get up to 4 on the screen. So BeLive.tv. Yes. And then what you do is you have each person, like each expert, email their lists out a series of invite emails to join the interview or the masterclass. It's kind of like, what's that TV show? The View, where everybody gets to talk a little bit about different topics, right? So you just take turns talking about hot topics or questions or the background of this or the future of this or what's working right now. So you just have a series of topics that you run through for whatever period of time, be it an hour, 2 hours, whatever. And that way, so let's just use the Be Live example, you're now sharing lists with 3 other people. So 3 other people are all emailing about the same thing. So what that does is it creates an email list for your Be Live masterclass or talk show or whatever. And then you can give that list to all 3 people, and then they're yours. So you can grow your list really fast. You do that a couple of times, and you've got a really good base list to start putting your offer in front of and seeing what people are responding to and what they're interested in. You can survey them to see like, hey, what do you want to learn more about, right? Because you've picked complementary experts to build this list with. So they're going to be generally interested in what you do. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Oh, I'm like, my mind's already going. I'm like, oh yeah, I want to do that. Because I just use this because I know
like you don't have to worry about ads yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then, so on the list side, because you hear people say like, oh, I just bought a list. But then like, and it's like, well, hold on, because if you start spamming people, like, what are your thoughts on that before we go into that? I want to talk about that for a second because I was like, oh, that seems a little bit weary, but I want to hear your thoughts on it.
So now we have all of these heavy regulations about how we email, like how we can email, how we can't email, making sure we have permission of everyone that is on our list. So that's kind of risky in itself, but I don't know about you, but when I get an email from somebody, I'm like, I have no idea who the hell this is. Spam, right?
Yeah.
So then they get marked as spam. But if that's you, your email account is now getting marked as spam, and your deliverability is going to tank. You don't want that.
Exactly. That's like the same thing, when you see, I want to hear your thoughts about this. So since we're talking more on like social media pieces too, is that when you see that people had like 500 people, and then all of a sudden they have 20,000, and you're like, what? When they're paying for likes or paying for followers, right? And then apparently there's something that you can pay for likes, but I think that just, you can always, I want to hear your response, and I want to tell you a story. Are you there, Mallory? Yeah, you froze there for a second. Do you want to talk about, so what do you think about people paying for followers and likes on social media and how that affects the brand? Can you hear me?
Yeah, Mallory. I mean, you can. Again, it's just a vanity metric.
Yeah. I just think that,
so at the end of the day, when you're paying, is this cutting out?
Yeah, it's cutting out.
A little bit. Sorry if you can't hear me.
No,
but yeah, so when you're paying.
Yeah.
Maybe I can do something to make it better. Hang on one second.
Okay. Maybe is your Wi-Fi? someone's at home downloading what is that? Not Dungeons and Dragons. It's not that, but there's some video game that takes up a lot of Wi-Fi. I can't remember what it was.
I'm back. I'm on a different network, so it was probably me. Sorry about all that stuff cutting out if you guys didn't hear it. But I heard you were talking a little bit about vanity metrics, like where you pay for 10,000 likes or whatever it is, right? So you can absolutely do that, or you can go and get some likes. So for example, if you really wanted 10,000 likes on whatever, Facebook, let's just say, you can run a like ad and get people to like your page from that. And at least you can target ideal people. So the people that are liking your page are going to get served up more stuff from your page, right? And you can get pretty cheap likes that way, as opposed to just going and buying a big old list. Like I think it's just basically probably a bunch of people in China that are sitting there liking things, right? The bot type of likes,
right.
Even if it's real humans. So you can pay for that, or you can pay for people that would actually be interested in your stuff to like it. And for example, that would just be a like ad, right? You might not get 10,000, but you might get 3,000 or 4,000 people that are actually interested in your stuff. And then you can get them to join your email list.
And I think that goes back to, having that real, those are real people. Like, you're putting an ad out there to real users, right? Not just to fake accounts. Like you were saying, that they create, hey, Doreen, how are you? So that's another thing to see, because, when you're seeing such a huge influx, and then they're like, I don't know, it's just, I have very different views of that, because, and the little trick to always kind of tell, because a lot of social media people, especially if they have background in social media, or when they go on there and they see that you have 20,000 followers and then you have 4 likes on your picture, it's like, oh, credibility is out the door. I would rather have a couple thousand followers, but I have interaction with them, and they interact, they they comment, they interact, and those people are real. You got to start somewhere. I mean, I'm not in it. I want to create a connection with people. I'm not trying to, have them, I want it to be real. It's you're extending your, family to social media, right? Good or bad, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you're reaching the right people, that gives you a chance to put the right offer in front of the right person. So you're going to be making money. And I think I'd rather make money than have this giant list of followers that is just like a bot follower kind of thing, right? Who cares if I have 3,000 followers if I'm making money from it?
Right.
Because that's the point of business. Make money so we can take care of ourselves, so we can take care of other people, so we can go out there and create impact. That's the whole point of why we do all this, right? So I'd rather be able to fulfill my purpose with my business with less followers than have this giant amount of followers that I can't do anything with.
Right, exactly.
I can't monetize Chinese bots.
Right. It's like, are you going to pay for services, right? Services rendered. What are you going to do there on that, right?
Yeah, seriously.
It's crazy. I mean, because what social media tells a story about you. So let's talk about the importance of having the right social media background in order to help with your business, because it can hurt or help you. So let's talk about that for a little bit.
Take off the pictures from college where you're doing cake stands. Rule number 1. Stop writing creepy, weird, funny things for your friends, because that stuff kind of ends up public at some point.
Right.
For me, my profiles are all public because I end up sharing in between so much of it, right?
Right.
So the way I filter it is, if I'm going to post something, am I okay with the entire world seeing this? If I'm not okay, I don't post it at all, right? If even 50 years from now, if I'm going to regret it, I'm not posting it.
Right. Not doing it.
So you have to filter it a little bit, but it's more about cleaning up your stuff, having a consistent presentation, right? A consistent brand across the different networks that you're on. It's simple things. use the same pictures so people can know, like, oh, hey, that's this person on Facebook, and this is them on Instagram, and this is them on Pinterest, or whatever, right? Have some brand consistency. That really helps. Use your brand colors, your brand font, you know, just the little things that don't make it all over the place and kind of spinning and overwhelm. You just want to make it an easy experience for the people that are interested in learning about you to click around, because that's what they do. I like to call it stalking.
Yeah.
So when somebody is interested in working with you, what they do is they stalk you online.
Thank you.
Literally, they do.
Yep.
And you have to be stalkable,
Yeah.
right? So how can we be stalkable in a good way where we're giving people the content that they want to see so they can say, yes, I want to work with this person or this company. I like what they do. I like how they represent themselves. Let me take a step further.
Right. And I think that's like social media proof too, you know, is I can't stress, it's so important that do not post inappropriate things on your social media. I don't care if it's Instagram or Facebook or any of that stuff, because you never know who is watching it. Or you know, going back even into dating, you know, when you're talking social proof, right? Like people, if you don't, everybody does so much recon on the people that they date, right? Or they're going to go out with. It's like they already know the story. And that's unfortunate. Like I try not to Google, you know what I mean? Because I'm like, I mean, to a point, like if I know that someone that knows somebody, I just don't want to have too much, because then it's like you're already going in there knowing a story, but you never even met this person, right? So it's like, okay, you know, you gotta leave a little bit up to the, you know, actual real life conversation.
Well, you go in there with judgments, right? And you already have an opinion of this person before you even saw their face.
Right, right. And how do you know what's said, you know, on social media is true? Or like you may not know the whole story, right? Like some things are public, but other things are private that nobody knows about, right? So it's like, okay, you know, like hear it from the person, not from what you read on social media. So
yeah, dating and social media, I think, just equals one giant headache.
Yeah, we're trying to fix it, right? Just kind of completely change the game on it.
Yeah, seriously.
No,
I'm so glad you're doing that, because that must prevent so many wonderful women from finding that true love that they're really looking for.
Right. And I think it goes back to just, you know, like going on the dating, you know, piece, you know, for a second, because it's important, because it all relates. It's just like, you know, business, right? Is, you know, knowing, when you're talking about knowing your audience or knowing your, or your mission statement in business, you have to know what you really, really want, right? Not from just like, they got to look like this, they got to, you know, make this amount of money, they have to be tall, they have to, all these superficial things that don't even matter, right? At the end of the day, like you got to really look at the core values. Like, are they nice? Do they have a soul? Right? I mean, it's debatable
so
in some people. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, it is debatable. I was like, but you know, like, are they, you know, are they philanthropic? Like, that's a big deal for me. Family is a big deal. It's a deal breaker. Like, if they're not, you know, supportive in that. So, you know, there's certain things, like, especially being 40, single mom, right? You know, looking at things, I'm looking at it a lot differently when I was in my 20s. Now, if I would have known this information now, then,
But also, you know, back in your 20s or my 20s, we didn't have all this social media stuff to get our heads so wrapped around. You couldn't just Google somebody that you were interested in learning about.
No, you couldn't. You couldn't even Google them. You couldn't even, I mean, I just remember back in the day having to wait to get home from, like, in college, wondering if that person called, because you got to go home and check the recorder. There's no cell phones in college. I mean, like, when I went, there's not, I mean, there was, like, it was coming out, right? But it was super expensive. But it was, but it's true. It's, you know, you lose that human aspect. Like, if you want to meet someone, you have to go out. And I think that that's the other piece that people are missing. Like, you still need to be social, you know, with other humans, right? I think that's the most, I mean, like, hello, you're going to have to get off your couch, wash your hair, like the whole gamut, right? If you want to go out and meet people, because you never know who that person knows, and it goes this whole chain reaction. That's why I was like, be nice, be human out there, in the dating world, but also in life, clearly.
Yeah, in life, it's just going to get you further. You're going to have a network, right? Like dating and business, I think, are so similar because you have to get out there, and that's you build your community. I mean, really, and your community is going to bring the right opportunities to you.
Right. And just like in business, when you do a business plan, right? So we have the launch at datingandheels.com this week. So guys, stay tuned. It's going to be amazing.
Oh, I'm excited for that. I can't wait to see it.
Oh my God, I'm so pumped. Just finalizing a couple things. But yeah, so we have this core values worksheet that will be probably not ready till next week because we're still firming some stuff up on it. And then we have a really kind of fun thing we're going to be doing on our Facebook group as well. And to get interactive, it's going to be a game changer for a lot of people. Like, especially like heartbreak, right? So like if you're at a point where you keep making these same mistakes over and over, and you do, like you're saying, like I kind of laughed when you said that about the definition of insanity, like, because I think we do that in dating more than we realize it, right? We keep the same person, same results happen, and you're sitting back like, well, what's going on? Well, it's clearly you got to look at the reflection in the mirror because you are what you attract. So if you are putting it out there that it's negative, or that you have issues with an ex or whatever, like it's going to come through, right? But just kind of being open-minded about that, really doing the self-work, because no people are like, well, I don't need to do self-work. Well, then okay, you're going to keep dating the same people. You have to invest in yourself. Like you are your biggest investment, right? I mean, if you're 20, 40, 60, it doesn't matter.
That's right. You got to do the work. You have to figure out what you actually want, because if you can figure out what you want, you can reverse engineer it, right? That's exactly what we do with business planning. Like that's it. Reverse engineer anything you want. You got a launch coming up, reverse engineer how much money you want to make.
Right.
You have an impact goal, reverse engineer what you need to do to create that amount of impact, in the dating. You know exactly the kind of man that you want to get. All right, well, what kind of woman is he going to be attracted to, right? Who's the woman that's going to sweep him off his feet? And that's what you have to be.
Right. That is true. And then not come from like a false sense of, because there's a lot of people like out there with different representatives, right? And so you have to just be wary of that in business and dating. But you can tell, I mean, a lot of the times, you can tell by a person's energy, what they're looking for, what, who they are. I mean, but you still, need to do research and like spend more time, like human time, connecting. And I don't know how I'm going to bring it back, but I am going to get people back on the phone communicating with each other somehow, some way.
Like 3-hour phone calls in the middle of the night.
I love it. Those are the best. I'm like, but I talk to my girlfriends, on the phone a lot. We FaceTime. The other thing is it's just become this age of, where people will just text and text and text and text. It's like if you literally picked up the phone, because people, especially if you start dating someone early on, like they're probably dating other people, right? So if you want to, if you want to get ahead of the game and like be put in the first, in the first of the lineup, do something above and beyond, which would be pick up the phone, call them. Just being attentive. I mean, that, people want to feel that they're, listened to. And like, so if you say to someone, like I said, like, I like to talk on the phone, like, it doesn't have to be all the time, but it's just, I do like to have, like, it can't be like a week and it's just all texts. It's like, okay, this is weird to me,
Do you to talk or do you do FaceTime?
No, I mean, I FaceTime with my girlfriends because they live out, one is in Ohio, and they're all over.
But if it's a guy, what do you do?
I mean, if it was like a long distance, boyfriend, I mean, that FaceTime clearly, you would need that because you don't see them, right? But if you're dating, I mean, the phone call is fine. Like, hey, how was your day? What's going on? It doesn't have to be an hour conversation. It could just be, hey, I was thinking about you, just wanted to give you a call, whatever. Because that will make a huge difference. Like, wow, I'm gonna give a shout out to Gabrielle, my friend Gabrielle. She said that when she met her husband, he found her, there was one mutual friend on Facebook, right? So bring it back to social media. He found her on social media and through this friend, and they started talking. So they started texting, but he didn't live around here. She goes, he started calling me at first because she's a millennial. She's like calling, like, what are you, like, this is weird, right? But then I'm like, but she goes, but it legitimately put him ahead of everybody else that I was talking to.
Yeah.
And they're married.
Wow.
Yes. Because she's like, he showed effort, right? And I think that's the thing is he showed effort that he wanted to make time, that I was a priority, that he wanted to be with me. And I think that's where most people, like, if you're not contacting them or texting them, like, you go into this automatic in your head, oh, they must not like me. Okay. And so you just kind of disengage. Because I have it, like, that's what I do. I'm like, if I don't hear back from someone, like, okay, like, and you just kind of shut it down in your head, which that may not be the case, right? It could be busy or whatever. It's just having this kind of open kind of communication, which I think goes back to, let's talk about communication issues in business and dating. I think it's a major issue.
They're so similar. Maybe we need to do like a master class on this.
Let's do that. Yes, we should.
That would be awesome.
All right, I'll write that down. Write that down.
It's like finding your ideal, whatever, your ideal spouse, your ideal client, like figuring out what you really want, like your strategic plan, right?
Yeah.
Maybe your like 5-year plan, your 1-year plan, whatever.
Right.
And then how can we get whatever we need to have happen within that time frame, right? It's so similar. It's crazy.
No, it is true. I mean, it's also to that point where, like, when you go back to knowing what you want in business and dating, like, I cannot stress this enough. You have to know what you really want, like, deep down, right? Like, do you want to be in a relationship? Do you want to get married? Do you want to have kids? Or do you just want to have a partner, a life partner? Because some people, like, they say, well, I don't want to move in with anybody, but I want a partner. I don't want to necessarily get married, you know, because you get into other things. And so, and then you meet someone and they like check off all your boxes, and then but the two main ones on your non-negotiables aren't true, you know, don't match up, and it's unfortunate and it sucks. But you know, at the same time, you can't be mad at that person because that they said that that's what they wanted, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and you can't change that. So please, guys out there and girls, don't try to change people. Don't try to, you know, say, well, like dating someone for, you know, 3 years, thinking that he's gonna ask me to marry him. Well, have you talked about it? Have you asked that question? It should have been in the beginning. Do you want to get married or not, right? And I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Because if you date someone for 3 years and the conversation of marriage, you know, hasn't come up, or it has, and there's been no action, like, what are your thoughts on that?
So, you know, it's kind of like in business, like, let's relate it back. If people aren't buying your shit, there's a reason why, right?
Yeah.
So if he's not asking you, he probably would have asked you a long time ago. So there's a reason why. I mean, that's just my opinion. I've been married for forever, so I've been away from this dating scene with this like influx of Tinder and whatever people use these days. Like, I got married before all that stuff boomed, right? So I didn't have all of that. So it was really, for me, more about just like, hey, this is what I want out of life, and I'm a super direct person. Like, this is what I want. If you're not on this boat, then I don't think we can steam off ahead together, right? Because it's going to waste my time. It's going to waste your time. And I knew what I wanted at a really young age. I knew what I wanted in my 20s. I didn't know exactly what it would look like, but I knew what I wanted, and I didn't want to play games. So I was never one of those people that could hang on to a guy forever. Like, I was horrible at hanging on to somebody. Yeah. They would just like get up and leave because I would intimidate them. Mm-hmm. And I would intimidate them because I actually knew what I wanted. Where most of the girls would just like dilly-dally around with the guys, and I would just be like, no, I'm not playing that game. Like, if I want to call you, I'm going to call you. Right. If you get annoyed with me, then you're probably not the person for me, because I actually need to communicate. Right. You know? And I think it's like eliminating them quickly. Yeah, I mean, that's actually a really good point, is like, you know, once you know, like, okay, if your core values, your non-negotiables aren't in alignment, you know, and it's just not really going to work, right? And that's where I think knowing worth, right? Like, knowing you're worthy. Like, you had this, like, I know what I want, like, I know my worth, and I'm going to keep going. And the good thing is you didn't give up, because you just you kept your heart open. And then you got your awesome husband who's hilarious.
you know, and it's so funny. And so, but think about that for a second, you know, where women will stay in bad relationships, or men, I mean, this is either one,
Oh yeah.
will stay in these unhealthy, toxic relationships because they're fearful, especially when as you get older, with this whole mindset of society saying, you know, there's such a scarcity out there, you're never going to find someone, like you got to start all over. But I can tell you, I mean, the research, I mean, you want to have people grow up in, you know, especially if you have kids, right? They have to, and you're setting the next generation up for, you want to set them up to do well and know love and see happiness, you know, from their parents. But if you're not in that kind of mindset, you're setting them up thinking that this is how it should be, or how they should treat their, you know, their relationships, and when they get married, they make the same mistake over and over, right? So you know, stay strong to who you are, know your worth, and you know, if it's not working out, if it's not, you know, I actually want to talk to you something about this. I've heard this a lot lately, and from people maybe in their like 50s, you know, or 60s, when they're saying, you know, there's some people who say, well, I'm just going to wait, like I'm not happy, but I have to wait until the kids are out of school or going to college.
I've definitely heard people say that.
Do you think that they don't see what happens right now? I mean, like kids are really smart. Like my 9-year-old, he gets it. You know, even my youngest, he's 5.5. Like he understands when he sees people out, like, oh, they're, you know, they were kind of negative, or they were this. So imagine if that was in your household and they're seeing this.
Oh yeah.
And then it's setting them up for failure, you know? And so I you know, people say, well, I'm just going to wait till the kids are out of school. And it's like, no, because when you do that, they're going to come back and say, oh yeah, we knew you weren't happy. Right. But you know, people have different reasons, you know, why, but I, you know, I heard that someone said, like, I got kids, and, you know, and well, okay, but this is your life too. Right? Like you want to be happy. And if you're in a space where that's not going to be, it's just, it's sad. You know, you hear this.
You know, it's never a good time. It's like having a kid. There's never a good time to have a kid. It's starting a business. There is never a good time to start a business. All of it is this roller coaster ride. Right. You know, there's ups, there's downs, and it's absolute hell sometimes.
Right.
So if you want to do it, you might as well just go ahead and do it for whatever you're doing it for, right? So if you're separating, you're looking for your freedom. Mm-hmm. If you're growing a business, you're probably looking for some type of freedom, be it financial or time freedom. Right. That's what people are after, right? Right. So why not go after it now if you know that that's what you're going to be going after regardless? Why not? Right. You know, I get that it's scary. Business is scary. You know, separating is scary. Dating is scary. I seriously wouldn't even know where to begin with all of that. But at the same time, I think we have to have more confidence in ourselves to know that no matter what, we're going to make sure we're okay and our family's okay. Yeah. And as long as we know that, we can move into these unknown territories of business, dating, the single life, whatever it may be.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's just like, you know, if you just kind of look at the overall, right, relationship aspect, right? So, you know, if you know, are looking at or having issues, like really seek help, especially from a therapist. I can't tell you how important that is, because if you're not doing that and not trying to work on, you know, because that's the communication that when I had Esther on, that's like number one thing that they have issues that they hear is communication. They're not communicating, or they're not feeling valued, or they're not being understood or respected. I mean, I don't know how you could be in a relationship if that wasn't the case, right? And then feel good about yourself, because then it starts breaking you down internally, and then you'll lose your light and the whole thing, and then it's like a shell, right, that you become. So so just pay attention to your energy and how you feel around. This is in business and dating. I mean, this is all across the board. So just, you know, be very mindful of that. That's what I think.
Be mindful of your audience.
Be mindful of your audience. Thank you.
Yeah. Full circle.
Exactly. Well, stay tuned for Malorie and I's master class coming up soon.
Let's do it. There are so many similarities between dating and business. I mean, just even from this conversation now and learning about it from your perspective, I think that it's just a really good example. So when we're trying to explain things, right?
Exactly. I love it. All right. I cannot believe that we are at our hour mark in 3 minutes. Can you believe it?
No, it's been so much fun.
I know.
But we'll be back.
Yeah, we'll be back. So tell our audience how they can reach you and any fun stuff that you have coming up, any workshops, any other master classes or that we should be learning about.
Yeah, so there is always tadimi.com, Tadimi. So T like Tom, A like Apple, D like David, I like Igloo, M like Mary, I like Igloo. I have to spell that a lot. So tadimi.com, of course. But then also, I have a messaging guide for you guys, and it's really about mastering your messaging. So I think this can really go between dating and it can go in business.
Yes.
So that's why I want to offer it to you all. It's totally free. You can go there and you can figure out your messaging so you can get the exact clients that you want. Clients meaning paying customers or a spouse, right? So that URL is tadimi.com/messaging, MESSAGING. So I think you're really going to like that. So it helps you to figure out how you're presenting yourself, how you're talking to others, and how that is attracting in what you're actually looking for. So that's going to be a really good one. And I can stick the link in the comments. That's cool.
Yeah, that'd be good. I like that. Yay.
Well, thank you for having me. This has been really fun. Thanks for everybody and all of the comments and the likes and the hearts and the whatevers.
We love you.
Totally, we do.
I know. And we will be back for our master class, so stay tuned. And then for datingandheels.com, that'll be this week, but you can, if you make sure you follow on Instagram, there's a surprise coming this week. So make sure you go on our Instagram and follow us on Instagram. And it's gonna be really good. So stay tuned, guys. Have a good day.
All right, bye. Everyone. See ya.
Bye.